Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 55, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan, and joining me once again is my good pal Brian Hall.
Hey! Did I make it?
You made it. You're here.
Did you realize that I just got booted offline and came back on just
I was
in time
watching
to be introduced?
I was watching with my eyes were frantically twitching as I was watching you, and I was like, "Is he going to make it in time?"
Yeah, and I did. And the listeners are none the wiser.
We just experienced like the yeah. Thanks for giving it all away. What we just offered was like this is the drama that goes on behind the scenes here.
This is our broadcast news moment right here.
That's right. I was going to say it's like an episode of Studio 60 from the Sunset Strip.
There you go.
That's probably a reference that's about 8 years out of date.
Yeah, well, mine was maybe 30 or more.
Yeah, good point. We're both men out of time. It's very sad. So Brian, what's going on? What's new?
Oh man. Oh. I know people don't want to hear all about my problems, but no, it's been a busy couple weeks since I last seen you. So unfortunately, I haven't seen a ton of movies, but a lot of entertainment things to talk about. But I will say, in my little segment of what I've been sort of watching, Zaki, did you see?
You've been watching me?
Yes, I've been watching you, and
I had a feeling.
Yeah. It's. No, did you watch Steven Soderbergh's Raiders of the Lost Ark experiment? Did you see this?
Oh, I read about this. So he did it as a silent film? He redid it as a silent film?
So he has a web page apparently that he runs, and a bunch of movie sites picked up on this. But Steven Soderbergh took Raiders of the Lost Ark and turned it black and white, and then stripped it of its sound. So his point being, he wanted people to sort of study it in terms of composition, like camera composition, visual composition, I should say, and also like cutting length. So I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did watch the whole opening temple sequence, and it's this isn't anything we didn't already know, that Spielberg's a master visual storyteller. But I mean, I have to say, like, as big as a fanboy as I am for Spielberg, watching it this way is just unbelievable. I mean, you see the storytelling with no music, nothing to support it except for the visuals, and not only the visuals, but the use of the visuals and when he decides to cut and what he decides to reveal. And I'll say specifically the moment where I was like, damn, was when Indy's helper, Alfred Molina, leaps across that chasm and says, throw me the idol, I'll throw you the whip. And again, no music, no sound. What you see is the door behind Alfred Molina beginning to close, and then the camera tilts slightly and rack focuses to Molina like, no time. And you're like, yeah, there is no time. You know what I mean? Like, just in the choices, like nowadays when you want to show intensity, you shake the camera and you have all these quick cuts. And there aren't quick cuts here, and he's not shaking the camera, but the intensity is just as much, if not more. And it's just interesting. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but it's just really fascinating to study a master filmmaker like that. Not just watch it and enjoy it, but to actually study it. And I highly recommend looking it up. It's really fascinating to look at.
Now, Steven Soderbergh retired, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what he didn't. Kevin Smith retire. He actually seemed to have retired.
Uh-huh.
And
so this is what he does. He sits in his palatial estate, Jules Asner at his side. He's like, Jules, boot up Final Cut. An idea has presented.
And then he just puts it in Raiders and just hits black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just him playing with the filters on Final Cut.
But no, he is producing, it seems. I mean, he's got that show, The Nick, on Cinemax. Yeah. I don't know. I imagine it's one of those things where, yeah, he's still going to do his dribs and drabs, but I don't know that he's not interested in making a film anymore. So we'll see if that changes.
The last thing he did was Haywire, I believe, right?
Actually, it was Side Effects.
Okay.
With Rooney Mara, Channing Tatum. Not a bad movie, by the way. That's on Netflix, and if you're looking for like, hey, that wasn't so bad. And I know it sounds sort of condescending, but I really mean, like, it's not like you're not gonna think about it.
Was Magic Mike before or after that? Oh,
that's a good call. You're right, because he did that, right?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up.
Yeah, but
now begins the awkward process of either
who's going to go to IMDb first?
Googling Magic Mike.
Oh, well, I have that one saved.
You have Magic Mike saved?
Okay, go ahead, vamp. I'll look it up.
Yeah, Steven Soderbergh. He had this moment where he was just burning white hot, and then he did kind of by choice, sort of just blend back into the background. And I think
well, which is interesting. What makes a filmmaker decide to retire, especially when you're in your like 40s? Like, why even say that? If you're like, I'm going to step away for a while, we'll see if anything speaks to me. But why like actually retire?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think it comes down to having racked up several $1 million and realizing you don't need to work again.
Yeah, and maybe your passions lie in other.
I mean, Kevin Smith had retired, and then he decided to make a movie about a man being turned into a walrus.
Hey, man, whatever. I know people that like to give Kevin Smith crap, but like. I don't know.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I'm not comment on it. But
I should say I'm not speaking about the movie, but I mean just him deciding maybe he's done, and then maybe he gets reinvigorated. That's great. Whatever.
Well, I think the existence of that movie is proof of the magical powers of cannabis to make creativity flourish.
Let's not even. I'll go even further than that. Stranger things have been imagined under being the influence of drugs. I want to know about the people who paid for it. Someone that heard this idea was like, I'll give you millions of dollars.
Good point.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, this is a midnight movie kind of thing out of it. I don't know. It doesn't sound up my alley at all. But
I'm not mocking it.
I can't hate Kevin Smith, man. I just can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, good on him for getting the thing made. But that actually does provide a good segue into a listener letter that we got.
Oh.
So this is from David, who is one of our regulars, and he asks, "Who do you prefer, serious Spielberg or blockbuster Spielberg?"
I actually have a slight anecdote for this.
Okay.
Coming up on Bob's Burgers this fall, there's a little bit of a Jurassic Park parody. And I was pointing it out to the people I work with. I go, this is straight out of Jurassic Park. And they're like, oh, really? So we looked up the scene from the opening where they're putting the Velociraptor into the cage, and then the guy gets sucked in, and they're shooting it, trying to stun it and save the guy's life. And I was watching that today on a little YouTube screen, and I was like, damn. That scene is just unbelievable. Like, not just the tension. I guess it's all the above, but like the filmmaking and the everything about it. That scene is just incredible. And I miss blockbuster Steven Spielberg. I really do. I don't mind him making his Amistads and his Lincolns and his whatnot, but damn it. I mean, you look at like Raiders of the Lost Ark again. Like, he is unrivaled with that stuff. So I want him to keep doing it for sure. Like, I understand you grow up and you evolve and you want to do different things. But like, man, when you're good at something, find a new way to feel good about doing that thing you're great at. That would be what I would want out of him, I guess. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Spielberg is just so good at, like, he has such a sort of preternatural mastery of the forms. Don't even make a distinction between blockbuster Spielberg and serious Spielberg.
Sure.
To me, it's Spielberg, and generally speaking, I'm going to be interested. I think that Munich is one of his best films.
Yeah.
And in its own way, it's just as compelling as Jurassic Park.
Sure.
That being said, I'm trying to remember the last time we were visited by blockbuster Spielberg.
Well, he turned into sort of like emo Spielberg in the 2000s. He made the Minority Report, which I like, but it's pretty bleak. And then he made AI again. Visually, I like looking at it, but I don't feel a lot when I watch it. And then also, what's the other one? What's the other dark one? War of the Worlds.
Yeah, which I did not like at all.
No, yeah, that one I almost like less and less every time I watch it. I never loved it, but I don't know, something about it. It's too, I don't know. Spielberg trying to be sort of dark, sort of like post 9/11 Spielberg in a way, I guess. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Just, like, didn't want to be whimsical or something anymore. But I feel like there's like a happy medium, and I wish. Yeah, and then there was sort of like bouncy Spielberg too for a little bit. He made Catch Me If You Can, which I really like.
Right.
By the way, I love that movie. And
that was his Tigger phase.
His Tigger Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Terminal, which I
like.
I do like it. I remember watching it not too long ago, like a bit of it on TV, and I was like, oh wow, this is really schmaltzy.
Yeah.
But it's nice, you know.
It's. I mean, you definitely gotta have the sense that he's just having fun. He's like hanging out with Tom Hanks, and
for sure,
just you know, they're doing the opposite of Saving Private Ryan.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I feel. I mean, was the last blockbuster he made Indy 4?
Yeah, I guess so, huh?
Wow.
And then he's got that Cold War movie with Tom Hanks, right? He's doing now. I can't remember the title, but so that'll be
that. Well, and he was going to do that Robopocalypse with Chris Hemsworth. Remember that?
Yeah. I had a friend that was working on that, and he said he stood in a room where the entire movie existed in storyboards on the walls.
Wow.
So to me, I'm like, so it does exist. Like, it got on paper. Yeah. All the shots were already out of Spielberg's brain onto something, but it just never got made.
It just didn't happen.
For now.
Do you think it will, or is it kind of one of those things that's just going to be the great untold story?
I don't know, honestly. And that movie, again, that could go two ways. That could go into sort of blockbuster Spielberg that we speak of fondly, or that could have been sort of like like robots turning on people in sort of a darker sort of way that might not be as much fun. I don't know.
Right.
But
well, interesting stuff. So
good question.
Hopefully, hopefully we answered that to satisfaction. Now it has been kind of a busy week for you, as you alluded to earlier. You haven't really had a chance to watch many movies.
Yeah.
Which defeats the purpose of the show a little bit.
Well, at least I can contribute to the entertainment news and all that sort of stuff.
Well. So how about this? Let's talk about some headlines. Let's talk about what's going on, and then I can fill you in on some of the stuff that I've seen recently. Sure. And then we can make the main event the premiere of Gotham, the Batman spin-off / prequel TV series. So that's what audiences can look forward to. Our audience, I should say, can look forward to. But before we do any of that, let's play our interview with Michael Shoemaker, who is co-creator of Hulu series The Awesomes, which is currently in its second season, directed by our good friend Sean Coyle.
Woot woot.
So I had a chance to chat in depth with Michael Shoemaker, who is a geek cut from the same cloth as us, and he knows his stuff. He's very much he's one of us, Brian. He's one of us.
One of us.
That's right. That's what I was humming to myself as I was talking. So let's go ahead and play that, and then we can reconvene on the flip side. Just in general, for our listeners, I was wondering if you could give us a sense of where the show originated.
Seth and I, met at SNL in 2001, and like really days after, right around 9/11 actually. And one of the first things that we kind of bonded on was that we both like comics, and and then we became closer friends. And then in 2007, we just had this idea like, oh, why don't we do a comic book show basically about superheroes? And then right away, like once we had the name, like all the characters just like flew into place immediately, and they were all mostly based on people we knew. Like it was more casting than anything else, because the way that you do things at SNL is like you think of who you have and you figure out who's gonna be in a sketch. You cast the people that are there in the building. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we did. And once we knew like Keenan would be this superhero and Paul Appel would be this superhero and Emily Spivey, like it fell into place. And then that was the show. And then it took another 7 years to actually make it. Because we shopped at a bunch of places and they're always sold, but then it wasn't quite the right place. And then, but by the time we got to Hoop, but the idea really started when he and I became friends, and the first thing that we knew that we both enjoyed together.
Well, and so now obviously Hulu was the end of your journey in terms of trying to get it to air. At what point did you realize that off network was sort of the way to go?
When the networks suggested. Actually, that's not true. Well, in the first place, we always knew that it would be, not like an NBC show. There was no one was doing animation at the time. I don't even think Family Guy had come back.
Oh wow!
At the time that we first thought about it, it was but we never thought that it would be that. But we thought that we thought we'd wind up on Sci-Fi, which is where we did actually first place.
Okay.
And then MTV. But I can't say that we thought of going to streaming because it did not exist. And the first time that we knew it existed was when someone said, "Hey, why don't you go to Hulu?" Andrew Singer, who's one of our executive producers, said, "Hey, it had kind of, it just got to the point where like, oh, maybe this won't happen." And then he said, Hulu might be interested in it, and they're a cool place, and they would like what you like about it, and that was what did it, and that really was the answer. Hulu really liked what we liked, which is telling like serialized stories, which nobody does that in cartoons.
Yeah, that's true.
And understood that it was a comic more than a comic book, as much as it was a comedy show.
And now it's sort of, I guess what I'm interested in is what the learning curve was for you guys, having sort of come from a sketch comedy background, and you're still having to sort of work within limitations to come into animation, where it's like, well, the sky's the limit.
The learning curve was also the sky's the limit. We did nothing about anything. We didn't know anything about animation, and we really didn't know anything about the half-hour format.
Right.
Like I had to say, like, can someone give me a copy of like a show that we knew, like to see how many pages this is, and in which version of Final Draft. Like it took us forever to figure that out. That's how far away we were from it, because sketches were sketches. And then like, wait, how many commercials are there? Like all of the learning curve was everything.
Wow.
We didn't know any of it. All we knew was we did know comic books, and we knew therefore like the kind of arcs and the kind of things that you can get away with in comic book. And we knew our actors, and we knew what they would be funny doing. But everything else was a lesson. We didn't know like how to find an animation house, what kind of animation it should be. Should it be overly stylized or less stylized? We knew we wanted the characters to look like the actors a little, because that's how we started imagining them. And so they do. I think they do even more so as the seasons go on. They look more and more like, you see more and more Keenan and more Sepp than they were at the beginning. But no, it was all learning curve. It was great though.
Well, and I think we can definitely see the progression as you're describing. I mean, as the show has gone on. You mentioned being a big fan of comic books. That was actually a question I had, because as a comic fan myself, I can definitely see the comic influence, and it, like, there's a lot of stuff there where it's like, I'm like, oh, as a fan, I get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you do, and there are things there that I think people can't, who aren't comic fans don't understand. Like, just the given that there are characters who fought Hitler that are still active,
right?
And there are plenty of them in comic. I mean, DC has a ton of them, like the Golden Age Flash and Golden Age Green Lantern, and they were a lot of the. But then, like, now people know Captain America and kind of those movies. But that idea was the idea that you would have legacy, that the team would have legacy characters and then new characters, and also like children of former members is also like, I don't know who's in the Justice League now, but I think that, like at one point, like Robin would be in it, like that kind of stuff would happen. Yeah. And so that's what, that's why with like Muscle Man, his father and grandfather in it, and Proc's father were in it, and then there were people who were there the whole time, and then there were brand new people, and that's very much what teen books are like. Right. They mix them all up.
Well, and that's, I mean, do you is that sort of a struggle you have, where you sort of have to balance how inside you get versus playing to as wide an audience as possible?
Well, I mean, I had to say, like, the world helped us by having superhero movies become popular. Because when we first conceived of it, there was no Avengers. There's no Avengers movie. Like, there had been Batman movies, but there's no X-Men movies. Every movie had to explain why a superhero existed, and Marvel went to great pains of having the individual movies for each one, because but now you can do a movie and say, like, oh, this one has lightning powers and this one has that powers. You just, because people understand, like, oh, in this world some people have powers and some don't, and that's how, and they're the superheroes and they're not superheroes. So we less and less do it, like we don't have to explain how they got this way so much as, like, oh, your power is what? Oh, okay, you're a person with ice powers. Right. And they understand it as much as you do is when you see a new person in the X-Men. When they do the gathering scene in the X-Men, in the what was it, X-Men, the one before this one, where they go around, like, nobody asked how those people. Yeah. Nobody asked how they were mutants. Right. And so no one asked how. Like, they didn't have to go to get hit by a gamma ray. And so the world solved it for us, and that they understood, like, oh, superhero teams are made up like this, and then we could just concentrate on the actual, the characterization.
Well, and I mean, it's kind of interesting just from what you're describing, because one observation I've had about the show is that even as a comedy show, it takes itself more seriously than, like, the '60s Batman, for example.
Oh yeah, we're like, I think of it as a drama sometimes. Like, yeah. It really is, like, like the idea of that his father didn't want him to run this team, and that, like, that his girlfriend was in love with him. Like, it's a there's love triangles and real father-son problems all the way through it. And there's all of those things, and it's the drama that drives it. This season you see the idea of Mr. Awesome trying to reform Dr. Malocchio, and that's because he feels somehow responsible. And you see, Hotwire worrying about her brother, who took this serious. It's good and evil fight. It's very dramatic. Like, the storylines are dramatic. The things that happen are funny because the character is funny. But we take very seriously the dramatic arcs.
Well, and I think that it shows. That's something that I appreciate. And like you said, I think it's reflective of the world we're in now, where Guardians of the Galaxy is the number one movie of the year, because it's just, we accept these universes now.
Yeah, and I mean, also they did it well, and they were humorous. And yet, like, that guy had a real sad story. They all kind of did, and it was them, the appeal of all these superhero teams is when you're, a kid and you feel disenfranchised, you think, like, oh, out there's a group that I'll fit into. Right. And that's kind of, that's the appeal of it, and that's what, we try to do as well, but it is dramatic, and therefore, we get to tell full, year-long arcs that are about, redemption. Like that, like the first year was about getting noticed and redeeming themselves. And now the second season is like, once you have that, then problems start. And then, they prove themselves, and now people try and take it away. And then, and then it's about, Mr. Awesome redeeming, Dr. Malocchio, and Hotwire redeeming herself, because what she did in the first season was kind of unforgivable. Well,
and okay, so you obviously the word came out just a few weeks ago that you will be coming back for a third season.
Yes.
So any hints you can offer? Obviously, I don't expect you to give away the farm here, but anything you can tease us with.
Well, I haven't. I mean, we have thought about it. I have a lot of plans, and Seth and I, and there are big arcs, but no, I can't tell you without spoiling the end of the season.
Okay, well, let me ask you. I mean, do you see an end game for the show, or do you see this as something that could just go indefinitely?
No, I honestly, I see it like the Justice League, or the Avengers, or the X-Men. There's permutations that could go on, and people can leave the team. Like already in the second season, we had a new member. Concierge was an assistant, and then she joined, which is also very comic book.
Right.
Like someone would be, helping out, and then they get powers. And she already always kind of had powers by being kind of like the oracle of this universe.
Right.
So no, I see like if people left, we get new team members, or it expands, and there's like the teen awesomes. I think it's a universe, and therefore it could go on for a very long time. Depending on, the hard thing, we have really, really talented, in-demand cast that, those are all the people we started with. And now Rashida is one of the busiest people in show business.
Right.
And it was before Seth had a talk show, or even a glimmer of a talk show. Like Keenan and Bill, like we didn't know they were, I knew that they had the talent to do all this. Paula Pell is like one of the busiest people in the world. She just wrote The Nest, and she's got like movies all over the place, and we drag her in to do this. Emily Spivey is all over the place. Taryn is shooting his own movie. So if anyone ever has to leave, there's always a way,
right,
in a team book to like get someone else in there. And no one ever dies. They just always come back.
Well, and just by virtue of the people in your cast, I love the fact that it's almost like Marvel and DC teaming up, because you've got Mad TV and SNL.
Yes. Well, it started with Ike and Josh. Ike was one of the first people that I said, I knew him through Seth. He and Josh were roommates, and obviously the castmates on Mad TV. And I right away we wanted Ike for at the time he was called Strongman, because but then we couldn't clear Strongman. Muscle Man actually is a better choice. Yeah. And then once we thought of Perfect Man, who was called Perfecto at the time, it should be Josh, because it's a sibling thing. It is this guy liked you better. So that it's perfect that it's his brother who's like taller, right, and some say handsomer, and has better hair. So and then Bobby Lee made perfect sense. They knew him, and then we brought him in. He's been great. Right. So yeah, it is that, but also I feel like it's all family, like their family,
Well, and if it is a family, obviously Lorne Michaels is involved. Yes. And Lorne Michaels is somebody who I have a lot of respect for, just by virtue of just everything he's managed to do. And I'd love if you could share one Lorne Michaels story with us.
I don't know if I have any stories, but what I will say about Lorne is that what he provided all of us with, is this family. He provided us a wonderful, large, extended, dysfunctional family, but we're all part of it, and it grows every year, and it grows to include, as people like as Amy goes to do another project, I consider all those Parks and Rec people part of the family, and same and then all the people that did Up All Night, including Emily Spivey, who's in our show, and all the people at 30 Rock, Seth's show, Jimmy's show, it's all, the roots. Everyone is kind of in it. And that what Lorne provided is that when you go to your next place, that you have already met the people that you want to collaborate with, because they've already kind of come through. And so what it provides us is the ability to, without going through show business, that you text, your friends and say I'm doing this thing. I have a thing for you in it. You're going to do it, right? And then yes. And that is how it's supposed to work. And that's what he gave us. He gave us, the superheroes looking to fit in. He gave us all a place that we all fit in and where we can find each other. So
he really is like the Professor X of your whole operation.
Exactly. I'm not the first to say it. Chris Rock, I think, is quoted saying that it's the X-Men, and they're all mutants, but they all have a power.
That's amazing. Wow, that's so cool. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, Mike.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zaki.
All right. So The Awesomes, if you have not been watching it, do check it out. The last 2 episodes are in the process of dropping. They have a 2-part season finale, but the show has been picked up for a 3rd season, which will be coming out next year. So I'll fully admit I started watching it because my friend was directing it which I feel like that's reason to.
I think that's a good reason.
That is good reason. But I have it has won me over. I'm a fan. So do check that out.
Totally.
Moving on, we do have some headlines to discuss. Big news that broke last week. Matt Damon is returning to a franchise that many people have been hoping he would come back to. I think he was ready to walk away, but just the demand of popular acclaim have prompted him to return. So he'll be doing All the Pretty Horses 2.
I was going to say Talented Mr. Ripley too.
Well, both of those guesses would, of course, be wrong because, in fact, he's going to be playing Jason Bourne again, which I hope, by the way, that needs to be the title of the movie, Born Again.
Born Again? Yeah. Oh, you're right.
If that's not the title, I will be extremely disappointed.
Yeah. Seriously, someone should be fired over that.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Matt Damon walked away from the franchise after 2007 because Bourne Ultimatum basically closed off that story, or at least if not closed off, put a pin in that story.
Sure.
And he had said he would only come back and do another one if Paul Greengrass came back to direct. Paul Greengrass did the second and third one. Paul Greengrass said, "I'm done. I've already told the story. There's nothing left to do." And so both of them were ready to go. So the question is, well, actually, and this isn't even so much a question. I think it's pretty obvious why Universal is so desperate to have Matt Damon back, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is Universal. Yeah, this is. It almost feels like a favor to them or something. Like, why someone like Matt Damon, who doesn't have to do a movie like this, and he had his trilogy, his story had an ending. Like, why do this movie?
Well, I think the why is very simple. That nobody watched We Bought a Zoo.
Okay.
Right? So suddenly Matt Damon is... I mean, what's the last hit movie Matt Damon was in?
He's one of those guys, kind of like Brad Pitt even, where they're like one of the biggest movie stars in the world, but like name their last movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? I mean, if you're somebody like Matt and you've got a franchise in your back pocket that you can always go back to.
Sure.
So I mean, it's the equivalent of Vin Diesel doing these Fast and Furious movies,
right?
Or Liam Neeson doing Taken,
right.
So I think Matt Damon is at a point now where it's like, well, he's had enough flops where he needs to do one for them so that he can do more for him.
So do you think, because you had said that he was only going to do another Bourne movie if Paul Greengrass was involved.
Yeah.
So if Greengrass wasn't involved, he wasn't going to do it. So did Greengrass, do you think this is like a, thing for his pal? I
think so.
Yeah.
I think it's a face-saving way because Matt Damon showed solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at some point he went to Greengrass and he was like, "Hey man, let's do this."
Yeah.
But here's my question. So did you ever see Bourne Legacy?
I did not.
Okay.
No.
So Bourne Legacy was of course the spin-off movie that Universal did, which in hindsight now seems like kind of a smart move because they had the opportunity to recast the Bourne role.
Right.
But they were hedging because of the possibility of Damon coming back. So they were like, okay, let's create this other character.
Yeah. And if I remember right, because I didn't see it, but Bourne was a character sort of in the background of that story, right?
Yeah, he was basically like around the hall at any given time.
Right.
Like, hey, Jason Bourne is around. And everybody kind of looks around the corner, but we never see him.
Right.
I think I said on our show, right? That movie, The Bourne Legacy, reminded me of the Perry Mason mysteries that they did after Raymond Burr died.
Right.
And I know, Brian, you've already heard this, but just for people who haven't, like after Raymond Burr was doing a whole bunch of these Perry Mason movies of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a ton of them. And then he died, this is like 20 years ago. And so the network, I want to say it was NBC or ABC, they were like, oh, well, we got to find a way to keep making these movies. And by then, of course, the character of Mason, Perry Mason, was so identified with Raymond Burr, even though the character actually originated in books. They were like, okay, well, we can't recast Perry Mason, but we still want to have Perry Mason mysteries. So they would get like random old guys to play
random old guys.
Yeah, like, oh, here's Hal Holbrook, and here's, you know, I'm not making that up. I'm pretty sure Hal Holbrook was in at least one of those.
Yeah.
But they would get these guys to play friends of Perry Mason.
Yeah.
Who would be in the office that day. So somebody comes in, they're like, "Where's Perry Mason? You know, I'm accused of murder." And it's like, "Well, Perry Mason's out of town, but I can help."
So they would actually draw attention to the fact that he exists but isn't there right now.
He just happened to not be there.
How funny.
Yeah, and it was Paul Sorvino and Hal Holbrook would play friends of Perry Mason.
Huh.
You know.
Well, there you go. That what an apt comparison.
That's really what this felt like. It's like, well, Jason Bourne's not around, but I can do your stunts and your kung fu or whatever it is that he does, you know. So that movie did substantially less well than Ultimatum. It was not a flop, but they had a sequel ready to go. It was going to come out in 2016, and they even got Justin Lin to direct.
Yeah.
And this has to feel like kind of like a kick to the balls a little bit when Universal's like, hey, we're going to push your sequel back to whenever because Matt Damon is coming back.
That does kind of suck.
You know, if you're Jeremy Renner, I mean, I don't think Jeremy Renner cares that much.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I'm sure, of course, you know, he's got his Avengers movie coming up, and that's great. But yeah, that's got to sting a little bit.
Right. Well, a little bit that he wasn't kind of the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep it going. So that movie will probably at some point happen, but for now we have another Jason Bourne movie. But here's my question: what happens after this one?
Yeah, I mean, do you have some sort of like crossover movie where the two of them team up, or I mean, do you even acknowledge the Jeremy Renner character anymore, or? And is this going to be another trilogy? You know, what's
Universal took this long to get Matt Damon to come back, and who's to say he'll want to come back again? So in other words, in like 4 years, you have the same problem,
right?
So in other words, maybe it might have been better to recast the role. If you were you get what I'm saying? Like if you were intent on keeping the franchise going,
right. Because then he makes his one movie and then say he doesn't want to make another one, so then you like fall back on the Jeremy Renner one again.
Right, exactly, and we're right back where we started.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Now, by the way, we were talking about like, oh, and now you've got like this Bourne universe where you've got like the Jeremy Renner Jason Bourne character, and then this Bourne, and let's have them team up, and you know, it's everyone is trying to do their own like Marvel style universe. Totally. And to me, the nadir of that concept was with Dan Aykroyd. Did you read these comments that Dan Aykroyd made?
Yeah. I'll let you go ahead.
So Dan Aykroyd, bless him.
Oh, for sure.
Bless his heart, Dan Aykroyd is very, very intent.
Hey, he's brought us a lot of laughter over the years.
He really has, and he's sold a lot of skull head vodka.
Yes.
Which I have not sampled, but I'm assuming it's as horrific as it sounds. But so now Dan Aykroyd has been threatening a Ghostbusters 3 for forever, basically since Ghostbusters 2 came out. And for the longest time, it was like, hey, it could happen. It would be a good idea. You know, I mean, we've talked about this. And then Harold Ramis died earlier this year, and I don't know about you, but I was like, all right, done. It's over.
Right.
You know, and now they're talking about doing like a female-led Ghostbusters, which has gotten Bill Murray's sort of stamp of approval. And I think Bill Murray's stamp of approval is more like, thank God you're not asking if I'm going to be in it.
Yeah. Or exactly like, yeah, stop asking me. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like that. But so Dan Aykroyd is like, I don't even know what to say this. He's like, he wants to turn Ghostbusters into an interconnected, again, Marvel-style universe.
Well, and see, that's the thing about that that's almost like kind of cringy is the fact that that's just it's almost like a buzzword now, like the word bromance. You know what I mean? Right. And now it's like Marvel style franchise. You know what I mean? And that applies in certain ways. I mean, you could say that applies to the Star Wars universe and what they're likely going to do now, because you're going to have the straightforward Star Wars episode 7, 8, 9 movies, but you're also going to have your spin-off movies with Boba Fett and Han Solo, and they're all going to be interconnected. So, yeah, that's kind of Marvel style what they're doing. But, yeah, just to like this thing that a lot of people seem to want him to stop trying to make happen, and then be like, and it'll be like Marvel, yeah. You know, like it feels sort of...
Well, I mean, here's a quote. Here's an actual quote. He said that the focus must be, quote, not just another movie or another TV show, but what's the totality of it? The whole mythology from the beginning of their lives, the end of their lives, Ghostbusters at 9 years old, Ghostbusters in high school.
I hadn't read that.
Now there's a quote in the original Ghostbusters which just seems apropos, which is Bill Murray's Peter Venkman telling Dan Aykroyd's Ray Stantz. He says, "As a friend, I have to tell you, you've finally gone around the bend on this ghost business."
Yeah, apropos.
It just, I mean, I think I love the Ghostbusters movies, and I'd love to keep loving those the concept, but this is not. This is an ill wind, if you will.
You know, though, I get it. Like, a lot of times I forget that Ghostbusters is Dan Aykroyd's baby.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's not just an actor in these films. I mean, he conceived the whole concept.
That's true. Very true.
So I understand his desire to keep it alive, you know, and explore every avenue possible. Like, why not? I'm sure I would too, honestly. I mean, I can kind of put myself in his shoes a little bit here, but at the same time, you don't want to ruin, you know, you don't want to dilute the product.
You know what, Brian? I am sick and tired of you making excuses for Dan Aykroyd. But while we talk about continually expanding, quote-unquote, Marvel-style franchises, the Deadpool movie...
Deadpool, yes.
Not to be confused with the fifth Dirty Harry movie, which is called The Deadpool.
Right. Look, Zaki, why would you even bring up Deadpool? It's been going on for years. It's never going to happen.
So, well, as it happens, Brian, it's going to happen.
What?
And scene. Movie, film, theater. So this has been one of those things that they've been talking about since 2009, right? Which is when the X-Men Origins movie came out, which is a terrible, terrible movie. And that was the first appearance of the Deadpool character, who was played by Ryan Reynolds.
Yep. Wow. Oh, yeah. I know it's obvious, but I didn't even connect the fact that he's already played him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's because the version that showed up in that movie was nothing like the version in the comics, right? So for those of you who don't know, Deadpool is like a side fringe X-Men character. A fringe character who exists in the X-Men franchise. And I feel like to be a fan of Deadpool is to really like brandish your nerd credentials, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I'm not even a big fan of Deadpool. Like, I mean, I get that people really like him. I'm not a fan, but you know what I mean? It's not really my scene, right?
Sure.
Anyway.
He's very, I read a little bit of him.
Yeah.
And he's really a little, yeah, like he's really funny, honestly. I really enjoy the humor. Like, there's a lot of wit involved, but it is also pretty violent.
It's like, extremely violent, yeah.
Sort of revels in its violence and plays it for laughs. And sometimes that's fun, and sometimes it can be a bit much for me.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, why there was some reluctance on getting this movie made, because this is kind of an R-rated story or character.
Well, and that's so. I think once the movie was announced, there was much rejoicing over the nerd the corners of the web. Which, by the way, when the nerd corners of the web rejoice over anything, at this point, people should just assume that the movie's going to flop.
Yeah, you know that phrase, "Take it to the bank."
Yeah,
it's the opposite of that.
It really is because all the stuff that dorks complain about doesn't matter to the movie's success.
Well, that and they say they want stuff, and then they either don't show up or they bootleg it, or
Right.
I mean, Scott Pilgrim is the prime example of this because they made a big hubbub at Comic-Con about that. Everybody loved the movie. I loved the movie. I saw it before it came out, and then it came out, and no one cared.
Yeah.
Total flop. But the nerd community rejoiced over that thing. So it just doesn't. You can't count on that.
They can't count on it. Yeah. So the nerd community has been clamoring for a Deadpool movie, which Fox has now announced for February 12th, 2016 release, which would put it in the same year as X-Men Apocalypse, which would be coming out that summer. So two X-Men movies in 1 year. Ryan Reynolds is supposedly going to come back, but word has come out today that the movie, which everyone assumed would be R-rated, will in fact be PG-13.
Indeed.
So now, honestly, I got to be very honest, don't even care. But
No.
I can see people getting really upset about this.
Here's my thing with PG-13. I think PG-13, I don't even think it matters anymore, honestly, in terms of violence.
Absolutely.
You can pretty much do anything you want in a PG-13 movie in terms of violence. I think the only time that can hold you back is in terms of comedy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like if you just want your jokes to really, cross the line kind of a thing and get that sort of laughs, then obviously you have to be R-rated. But otherwise, I guess which is kind of unique to this film because comedy is half of this character. So the kind of comedy that he wants to do, I don't know how much he curses and stuff necessarily in the comics, but I don't know. Did you see the footage, the test footage that was out there a couple weeks ago?
I did, and I got to be honest, didn't do anything for me.
I thought it was fun. I mean, I wasn't like clamoring for more.
Were you like I need an hour and 55 more minutes of this?
No, but you know what? I think if the marketplace wasn't so saturated with comic book stuff, maybe I might, because it feels different.
Okay.
But at the same time, yeah, I mean, I just have a lot of comic book movies on my plate already. So, I mean, I don't feel like, this is one you make room for rather than one you plan around, maybe.
Okay.
But it's written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, I believe.
Yeah, they wrote Zombieland.
Zombieland, which was really good. Actually, I probably shouldn't admit this on the air, but I've read the script. It was going around for a while.
The Deadpool script.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
it was. But this is like one of those movies you make for like $30 million.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what I think they should do with this. I say,
Brian, here's my question: does it acknowledge the X-Men Origins movie?
It does, in a clever, funny way.
Okay. So it writes off those events?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't necessarily write it off, but it sort of winks at the camera like, wasn't that stupid?
Gotcha.
Kind of a thing.
It's funny how the whole franchise has basically done that because Days of Future Past wipes that movie out completely.
Right.
From the timeline.
Yeah. But another thing I want to bring up real quick is involving that footage, which I didn't even realize because I first saw it when it was like a handy cam kind of thing.
Okay.
And then I did see it when they finally officially released it, I guess. But I guess the character is all CG?
That's right. In the footage, yeah.
I had no idea the first time I watched it. Again, because it was kind of fuzzy and whatnot.
Sure.
Is that the plan, do you know, for the movie? I mean, an entirely CG character? That's crazy.
I hope not.
Because, I mean, I know we've come a long way, but that's never going to look right.
Well, that's the weird thing, because I was getting an Uncanny Valley sense, even though his face is fully covered.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And actually, Brian, maybe you can explain what the Uncanny Valley is.
Well, Uncanny Valley.
Maybe you can say properly what Uncanny Valley is.
If I can speak English, I'll say this. Polar Express is to Uncanny Valley. Now, it's the effect when you have a CGI character. It typically happens with motion capture.
Yeah.
And they move extremely lifelike because they are literally moving the way an actor has made them move with motion capture. But you just can't get the eyes right.
Yeah.
So the eyes are very dead looking. And
you know what it is, Brian? They say it's the idea is it's called the Uncanny Valley because the closer a CGI character gets to looking human, the more aware we become that it's not human.
Right.
So they look very mannequin-like, like you were saying, Polar Express. What's another one? Oh gosh. Oh, you know what? That remember that Final Fantasy animated movie?
Yeah, sure.
Where you had CGI Ben Affleck with Alec Baldwin's voice.
Or like Beowulf or something.
Beowulf, that's another one.
A lot of those image makers.
Yeah.
Image movers, whatever those movies. But what I think why those in particular look so weird, I guess I already said it, but you have actors with all the sensors on them, and so what you're seeing on screen is literally the way the actor moves. So they move very human-like. You know, it's not exaggerated. It's not like a Pixar movie where it's played up.
Right.
So to have it be so lifelike, but so dead in the eyes, there's something sort of unnerving about it.
Yeah. It's how I feel about you, Brian.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. That's how I feel every other week when I look at you on the Google Hangout.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like so lifelike, so dead in the eyes. Just unnerving. And yet we continue these conversations. We just powered through. Anyway, so Deadpool. So that is happening. Now, Brian, tell me about the book 11/22/63 and why I should be excited about that.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because there's this book that Stephen King wrote called 11/22/63, which is the date that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And I heard about this premise of this book, and basically it's someone in present time finds a time portal, and they go back to the year 1958. So 5 years before the Kennedy assassination, but he realizes he can prevent it from happening. And so he has to spend 5 years in the past plotting and existing in the past. And, you know, obviously there are obstacles in the way. He meets people. He, you know, interacts in lives and wonders if he's changing the future. And just hearing that premise, I was like, I have to read this book. So I got the audiobook, and man, I stopped everything I was up to, and I just listened to this thing every opportunity I had. It's like 25 hours long, the audiobook, by the way.
Wow.
And, or maybe even more. And I just tore through that thing. It was so good. So anyway, I found out that Bad Robot has acquired the rights, which I was like, great. That seems like the perfect sort of pairing right there. And then just this past week, it looks like they're going to turn it into an event series on Hulu. So I believe it's 9 episodes. So, man, sign me up. Like I'm there the day that thing hits the internet. So it's a fantastic book. If anyone's looking for a good book, I highly recommend it. And I think it's a great idea for a series. It would be very difficult to make it to a movie because it's so large. But yeah, just excellent characters, really compelling story. Yeah, I was telling our good pal Mike Olson, he texted me the other day and said, can you believe they're making this into a thing because you were so into the book? And I was like, look, man, they're making Last of Us, my favorite video game, into a movie. They're making 11/22/63 into a movie now, or a series. And there's a new Star Wars movie coming out. I mean, everything is coming up, Brian.
Yeah.
So
knock on wood.
Yeah.
Just don't leave the house.
Yeah,
exactly. You know. That's exciting. Now, speaking of things like you get excited about stuff like that. I get excited about things like Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner potentially playing Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock again.
I am very curious about your opinion on this.
So, by way of context, well, Brian, why don't you contextualize this?
Well, they're going to be making a third Star Trek film in this new sort of updated series that J.J. Abrams kicked off, and it's going to be directed by Roberto Orci, who co-scripted the first two. And the thing about it is, in the first two films, they had Leonard Nimoy show up as Spock.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is there's divergent timelines. So you have another character or another actor playing Spock who is, what's his name?
Zachary Quinto.
And then you also had Leonard Nimoy. So showing that each timeline mattered in this new Star Trek universe. But we're going to follow the other timeline right now with the younger Zachary Quinto Spock. But apparently there were sort of rumblings that William Shatner was upset that he wasn't asked to come back, and people seemed to ask him a lot about whether or not he was going to be in a new movie. And there was a rumor that started this week that both William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy could be showing up in Star Trek 3. So, what do you think about that?
It's one of those things where the logical part of me is like it's sort of like the logical part of me is like William Shatner last played Kirk more than 20 years ago.
Wow.
Actually, it's exactly 20 years ago because 1994, fall of 1994 was Star Trek Generations, where they killed off Captain Kirk.
Right.
And that was a stupid thing that he agreed to, and that was what kind of what straitjacketed him. I mean, this is like such irony, right? Because the Trekkies are so passionate about the canon and the continuity. So what kept the new filmmakers from bringing back Shatner as Kirk was that, well, Kirk is dead, and we have no way to explain that because in the canon he's dead.
Right.
So it's a very like Edgar Allan Poe-esque fate.
Sure.
It's like the telltale heart of Star Trek. Right. So the idea that they would have to find a way, because you can't be like, oh, this is before Kirk died, because I don't know if you've seen William Shatner, but he's a portly fellow.
Yeah, well, he's the Priceline guy.
He's the Priceline guy. And you know what? He's 80-plus years old. He's entitled to be as portly as he wants to be.
Holy crap. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's 82, I think.
Yeah.
Him and Leonard Nimoy are the same age.
Oh, funny.
They're something like a week apart. So my whole thing is like, on the rational part of me is like, well, there's just no way to make it work. It doesn't make any sense. But on the other hand, I can't help it, Brian.
Yeah, so this is a good thing.
The idea of seeing William Shatner as Captain Kirk again, I mean, we're about to see Harrison Ford as Han Solo again.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
So it's one of those things where, like, should it happen? I don't know. But do I want it to happen? Yes.
Not even do you want to see it. Like, is that something I kind of want to see? Like, you want it to happen.
I do. And
okay.
Rationally, there is no rationality. It's pure illogic.
Well, the thing is I guess Shatner, right? He sort of denied it or said he hadn't been contacted on Twitter.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Roberto Orci didn't necessarily squash the rumor either.
Yeah.
So
if I were to guess, I'm willing to wager that they're working behind the scenes and everybody's being hush hush about it, but they're trying to find a way to make it happen.
Sure.
When you think because William Shatner has flirted with coming back to the franchise several times, and I think there has to be a part of him where he's like realizing that the clock is ticking.
Sure.
On making kind of a triumphant return in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
So that's my prediction. It's funny because to an extent it's about redeeming the character after they killed him off in Generations.
Right.
So it reminds me of J.J. Abrams, who's kind of one of the people in charge of the Mission Impossible franchise now. How he talked about how he wanted to bring Peter Graves back to be in a Mission Impossible movie.
Right.
And for those of you who don't know, Peter Graves played the lead character Jim Phelps in the original Mission Impossible TV series. And then they brought his character back in the first film from 1996, played by Jon Voight.
Uh-huh.
And they had him turn traitor, and he's the villain. He's the heel. He has a heel turn that makes no sense, and he's the villain of the movie. And J.J. Abrams gave this interview where he was like, I want to find a way to redeem Peter Graves' character.
Right.
And I was like, oh, man, that'd be great. And then, unfortunately, Peter Graves passed away,
right.
not too long after that. It's one of those things where I'm like, oh, man, they never got that chance to do that.
Yeah, sure. So
it's like I would love to see, it's like that's the like, we don't want to think about this stuff, but it's like, these guys are getting older,
Right.
So
you kind of want to give them just the characters, I'm saying, like a proper send-off.
Yeah, right. While you can. I mean, the characters, in a sense, will live on, but their versions of the characters, there is a ticking clock, that really ran out a long time ago. So to have a potential opportunity, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that's Star Trek news. What about Star Wars news, Brian?
Star Wars news. Now we're circling back into Bryanville. Well, obviously Star Wars is filming right now, and it's kind of funny actually watching. Every now and then these little videos will pop up where some kids are on like a hillside in England, like watching them film from like hundreds of yards away. Have you seen anything?
A few of them, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Because you can hear them sort of whispering like, right, it's over there, do you see it? But anyway, so Star Wars Rebels, which is the sort of I don't know, we call it a spinoff? I guess it's a spinoff. Like a series that's going to be taking place in between episode 3 and episode 4.
Right.
Is kicking off on Disney XD, and a lot of people are looking forward to this. I guess they showed the episode at Comic-Con, and it got pretty good, pretty well received.
Yeah,
and
I'm seeing it in a few days.
Yeah. So it's going to be debuting October 3rd, Friday, October 3rd.
Yeah,
on Disney channels around the world apparently here, and then also there's a 7-day exclusive window to watch it online. Am I right about that? Yeah, Friday, September 26th. Oh, I'm sorry. Verified users have watched DisneyXD.com. So I don't know if you need to have a membership, but otherwise, everyone else can check it out on October 3rd, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it. I'm really curious.
I'm sure we will, yeah.
I've heard that from people who've seen it that it really carries the feel of the original trilogy, and I'm sure that has to do with the ships that we see and the sound effects and things like that. So that's what I want to see.
Right. Well, Brian, I've told you before, you really should check out the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah. That's one of those ones. It's like in your queue, and then you just, there's always something else. But I got to get around to that.
You're like, I just got to watch an episode of The Nanny. Clone Wars.
Yeah, for sure, Z's.
Clone Wars has to wait.
Yeah. Fran Drescher, huh?
Yeah, I don't know why I chose to bring that up.
The Nanny.
The Nanny, by the way, lasted for 7 seasons.
Wow.
That's a depressing realization.
Yeah, well.
I'm just putting that
I have
out.
no opinion on that. I don't.
By the way, I was at the movie. Speaking of depressing realizations, I was at the movie theater today, and I walked by a poster for Left Behind.
Oh yes, with Nicolas Cage.
With Nicolas Cage, and I swear to you, the poster for this movie looks like the parody poster for any random internet skit about the awful movies that Nicolas Cage makes.
Man, what is up with that guy? I mean, do you think people aren't offering him good stuff? Is it? I mean, we know he went broke.
Yes.
At one point. So, I mean, obviously he needs to build up some money. But at the same time, I mean, man, oh man. Like, it feels like there's like all these like VOD movies that are happening right now too that we're not even like noticing that he's in.
Yeah. He's hip to the fact that he's become kind of a joke.
Yeah, but isn't there this is one of those things that like when I got a little bit older and understood Hollywood a little bit more, I realized sometimes you're like, well, why doesn't this guy make good movies? And it's like, good movies are not easy to come by. You know what I mean? When you have your Tom Hankses and your Sandra Bullocks and things like that, I mean, the script that the good movies that they're in, that's a miracle. You know what I mean? Like those scripts do not come along often, and when they do, they go to Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock.
Right.
So I mean, when you're Nicolas Cage and you're sort of in this weird sort of vortex that he's in right now, it's like it's tough, man. You're not gonna find your. I mean, I was going to say Con Air, not to compare Con Air to Captain Phillips or anything, but I mean, like, you're like really fun, cool action movies. You know what I mean? Like, those are themselves are even rare enough. So maybe he's just in that weird spot where the best stuff isn't coming to him, but he's still got to eat. And it's very weird. It's Nicolas Cage, for goodness sake.
You might say he's been left behind.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Bravo.
Good night, everybody. Brian's going to finish the show.
I dropped the mic.
But yeah, I saw the poster and I was like, oh, Nick. Like there was this internet skit, which I'm sure you've seen, where it's Nicolas Cage's agent.
I don't know if I have actually.
The whole thing, it's Nicolas Cage's agent on the phone with him. So it's like a static camera on his agent, and we just hear VO from Nicolas Cage over the phone.
Uh-huh.
And it's the agent trying to talk him out of doing like one bad movie after the next. So it's like, Schindler's List is not an action hero. And he's like, well, he is now. And it's Schindler's List. And then like, oh, you can't remake The Color Purple from the perspective of the white people, and so every time like we see the poster behind the agent, like on the.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, it's very funny. So that's what this looked like. It looked like the parody poster in the skit, and then you're like, oh wait, this is actually coming out.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's very sad.
I don't know what's going on with that guy.
Now Nicolas Cage, has had kind of a rough go in terms of adapting to becoming an older actor. But
Sure.
then there are these other actors who do very well with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And I'm thinking of specifically Liam Neeson.
Yeah, he just found his kind of new thing. Like he went into his new era. Yeah.
His niche as older guy who beats people up.
Yeah. And convincingly and entertainingly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just watched A Walk Among the Tombstones last week.
Okay, how was that?
Well, this is Liam Neeson's second Liam Neeson beating people up movie this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I've realized is one of the simple pleasures of life is waiting for Liam Neeson to get on the phone with somebody
Yes.
and threaten them.
He's so good at it.
He's so good at that. So this is a movie that's actually based on a novel by Lawrence Block, and it's part of a series about this character called Matt Scudder, who there's like 19 of these books. So he's a very, very popular character. It's like Jack Reacher.
Okay.
You know, and so they've been trying to get this movie made for a while. At one point, Joe Carnahan was going to direct it, and Harrison Ford was going to star.
Interesting.
But Harrison Ford has this policy of only choosing shit. I don't know if you've picked up on that. Unless it's a franchise.
What was that doctor movie? I should know this because
Desperate Measures, Extreme Measures.
Yes. But what else, dude? What else has he done recently? I can't even think.
Cowboys and Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Man, it's really interesting. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but hearing Jon Favreau interviewed, I feel like it was on the Nerdist podcast, and him sort of defending it in a way. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah. I've seen him do those interviews, and I feel bad because I love Jon Favreau. He's a friend of the show, of course.
Of course.
But that movie is just not good.
Yeah. Side note, I just rewatched Made, which is rerunning on HBO these days. So funny.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. Anyway.
That movie, by the way, is 13 years old. That should make you feel ancient.
Yeah.
But so at one point, A Walk Among the Tombstones was going to be made with Harrison Ford. That did not happen for whatever reason. But the version that we got, it stars Liam Neeson, and it's it's a very solid kind of low expectations kind of movie.
Okay, well,
it's a great Netflix movie.
Okay, and you know what? And that's not always a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's directed by Scott Frank, by the way, who he
did Out of Sight, right?
That's right, yeah. And he's a solid director too. He also wrote the script for Get Shorty.
Okay.
And I mean, this thing costs like $23 million. So sure. This is, we were talking about one for them, one for me,
Yeah.
This was a one for me for Liam Neeson. I think he was cashing in the goodwill he's accrued as Taken guy. So that he could get this one made. And speaking of Taken, Taken 3 is coming out.
Yep.
In January. So the Walk Among Tombstones did not do that well. And I think it'll probably kind of fall off. Nobody's going to lose their shirt on it because it costs practically nothing.
And it was, going back to our previous conversation, it was rated R, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I think
all his action movies are PG-13 movies that feel like R-rated movies.
That's right. This is an R-rated movie that feels like an R-rated movie.
Let's talk about Taken, a PG-13 movie where he sticks like metal into a guy's leg with electricity.
Yeah.
And electrocutes him to death and leaves. Continues the electricity pulsing through his body.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of those things where you're like, are you 13 years old? Then you can watch this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But I have to be honest, the plot of Taken 3 has me mildly intrigued.
What I always hate being like this kind of douchey guy. I actually do know the plot to Taken 3, so I don't know how much they've revealed. Mm-hmm. What did they say?
Well, I mean, I'm just reading an interview that Liam Neeson gave with the playlist, or rather with USA Today. It was quoted in the playlist, and he says this time no more traveling. He says, if my daughter was taken again on a trip, Brian Mills would have to be certifiably locked up for bad parenting. Which is what I've been saying. That was my beef. I was like, how can you? And that was his whole thing. He's like, I'll do another one as long as no one is taken.
Yeah, sure.
So based on what he's saying, in this one, he's on the run from various bad guys and also the authorities.
Ah, I see.
So that sounds intriguing, you know?
Uh-huh.
Again, it sounds like Liam Neeson action movie 2015. So
well, it's January. It's Liam Neeson kick-ass month.
There you go.
Yeah.
But this year has really been the year for old guys beating people up. Because we got Nonstop earlier in the year, and before that was 3 Days to Kill with Kevin Costner.
Yeah, that's right.
We got The November Man just a few weeks ago with Pierce Brosnan, and of course, A Walk Among the Tombstones, and then The Equalizer.
Yeah, sure.
So I literally just watched The Equalizer. Like I got done with the screening, I came home, and now I'm on the mic with you. And this is Denzel Washington playing the character. I would say it's very loosely inspired by the TV series from the 80s.
Okay.
But man, they should call it Wish Fulfillment the movie.
How? In what way?
Well, I mean, the entire film is about presenting us horrible people who were like, man, if I had the chance, I'd mess you up. And then we just watch Liam Neeson. We watch Denzel Washington just dispatch them with aplomb and various hardware appliances.
I have a pal who saw this movie, and he said it felt very old school. I think he meant in terms of filmmaking and action. What do you think about that?
So it's directed by Antoine Fuqua, who directed Denzel to an Oscar.
Yeah,
Training Day. Right. Yeah. So that's obviously why they've teamed up for this. It's I'm not gonna lie. It's an absolute crowd pleaser of a movie. Like I think that we've got Denzel Washington's very first franchise.
Really?
Yeah.
Like it feels, because looking at it, I'm like, of course, like I like Denzel kicking ass, and like I'm sure I'll see it. But like this is a character that you feel like you want to continue with.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's Denzel Washington who we're watching. It's kind of the same way, the same as like Liam Neeson in any of these action movies. He's basically playing Liam Neeson.
Right. It's
kind of that, right? We're paying our money to see Denzel just going to town on these people.
Right.
And I could easily see this doing well enough to inspire more. The only qualm I would have is that, and this is mildly spoilerish, but the character as presented is so invincible that there's no real drama.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that can be a problem sometimes. I mean, when you watch a fight scene and you want to see a guy be skilled, but at the same time, if you just know, if there's never a moment of peril where you're like, oh, he might not make it, then it's not. And
there isn't really that.
Mm-hmm.
So that could potentially be problematic. But I mean, I think the movie's going to do very well, and I think it's just by happenstance that it opens a week after A Walk Among the Tombstones. And it's right in that same vein. I mean, this is a hard R, a well-deserved hard R.
Interesting. And then Chloe Grace Moretz is in it. Your pal.
She's in it. Friend of the show, Chloe Grace Moretz. That's right. Uh-huh. We get to say that a lot, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But my thought was that how has no one put the two of these guys in a movie together?
Who? Her and Denzel?
No, Liam Neeson and Denzel.
Oh. I was like, Chloe Grace Moretz and Denzel? I'm like, yeah, it's about time.
We need like the Expendables with Liam Neeson, Denzel Washington, Kevin Costner.
Oh, man, can you imagine if they were on like a 4-way phone call with the bad guy?
That's right.
That would just be like a riveting conversation.
It'd be funnier if the bad guy just drops off halfway through the call, but they're still going at it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then their like assistant is like, guys.
Hey Brian, what would it sound like when Denzel Washington's on the phone with the bad guy?
He'd be like, I'm gonna find you. I am going to pummel you. into a pulp that you of matter that you have not experienced ever, and I am going to make you pay. Your children pay. Your children's children pay. You're going to feel this for generations.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Your Denzel impression is still pretty good. So go see the Equalizer. Do not take your kids because you will ruin them if you take them to see that movie.
I knew there was a reason I didn't have kids.
Yes, it's for this moment, so that when it came time to see the Equalizer, you would be unencumbered.
I'm sorry, Brian Jr. That could have been president.
Oh, what could have been. Now you have not seen many movies, but you have seen the premiere episode of Gotham.
Yes.
And we're recording on September 24th. This premiered on September 22nd, so just 2 days ago. And we have not talked about it at all. I've been actually looking forward to talking about this with you. This is just by way of setup. Again, we've talked about it on the show before. This is the Fox TV series that is set about 20 years before Batman shows up in Gotham City. So
sure.
it looks at how Gotham City becomes Gotham City through the perspective of Jim Gordon, who's just a detective but will eventually become the commissioner of Gotham City.
Right.
So it is fresh in your mind. What are your thoughts on Gotham?
Man, when I first heard that this thing was going to happen, I thought this can either be really well executed because we've seen a lot of great television lately, like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones and all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, these are things where they rival the movies in terms of filmmaking and in terms of storytelling. On the other hand, a lot of times when things are done on television, they can just feel like TV. And I was worried about the execution of this, but I have to say my feelings on it are pretty good.
Okay.
But first things first, I have to say I thought the execution of it was surprisingly great. The moment it started and you had young Selena Kyle kind of slinking around Gotham City, I was like, damn, this looks like a movie. It almost looked like, kind of reminded me of Blade Runner in a weird sort of way at times. I thought they did a good job of taking Christopher Nolan's sort of realistic sort of city look, as well as Tim Burton's sort of heightened Gothic look, and even mixed it with the sort of 60s, or at least we could say comic booky sort of look, because every now and then there'd be these real, pops of color. Among the grime and things like that. So it was a very interesting, unique, I thought, amalgamation of all those things. And it looks cinematic. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Now let's get to the actors. Not so cinematic. My brother and I watched it together just like about an hour ago, actually. And we were saying, there are certain characters that just were effortless, and Donald Logue playing Harvey Bullock, the partner to Jim Gordon, just sort of effortless, and his sort of grizzled, beard and fedora and kind of morals are a little bit gray kind of a thing. Some of the others, Ben McKenzie, I thought was fine. I think
thought so too. I agree with
I think he, he's pretty good. I think he's a guy that if you push him and you get him a good director, like he's going to give you what you want. I wondered about Jada Pinkett Smith. I don't know why. Just from the moment her character just felt like I wasn't sure it was going to fit into the Gotham that we've sort of become accustomed to. And sure enough, her opening scene, I turned to my brother and I was like, she feels like she's out of the '60s Batman.
I was about to say, yeah, it's like she's a refugee from that show. Yeah.
Yeah, she speaks in this real sort of heightened villain sort of.
And Jada Pinkett is not exactly Meryl Streep, so.
No. So I felt like every time we were on her, it felt like TV again. What's his name? The guy who played the Penguin. I'm trying to be fair and call out all these actors, but whatever. The guy who played Oswald Cobblepot. He was interesting. He's got a very interesting look, and I don't know, whatever. We don't need to go the roll call. I want to hear what you have to think about this.
So I feel you've actually covered a lot of what I thought in terms of I appreciate the ambition of the show more than the execution of the show.
Yeah.
I think I like Ben McKenzie. I think that you can center the show around him. Like, here's the ultimate flaw of the show, right? It's about a story that has never been deemed important enough to do anything but montage through.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like they want us to spend an entire series on something that
before the awesome part.
Right. You know, it's never been deemed important.
Yeah.
Right. And based on what we see in the pilot episode, honestly, it's still not important. Let me put it this way. Do you care about a conspiracy to kill the Waynes?
No.
Because I really don't.
No.
You know what I mean? Because I'm like, you know, the randomness of the act is what makes it poignant.
Right.
And when you add all this noise into it, it's like chumming up the waters.
Yeah, and the thing too is I think James Gordon is compelling enough of a guy.
Yes.
That I wholeheartedly believe you can put a series around that guy. But what he is up against, the villains, the whatnot, I mean, do you have to fall back on the villains that we already know, which they are introducing, you know, with fervency in the pilot? Dude,
first of all, okay, this is it feels like the Flintstone Kids version of Batman. And I was
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Especially once you get to Ivy.
Dude, okay. So we meet Edward Nygma and I'm like, "Hey, it's Riddler." Okay. And then we meet Penguin. It's like, "Hey, it's Penguin." Okay. And then this little girl answers the door. "Hi, I'm Ivy," or whatever the hell she says. And literally I was watching it with my wife and she's like, "Come on."
Yeah, well, it's funny because Riddler, actually I laughed at the Riddler part.
Mm-hmm.
He works with the police at this point. His name, you know, Edward Nygma, and
they're like, "Don't give us any riddles."
Yeah, stop it. I know it was on the nose, but I realized also it's a pilot and you gotta hold some hands. But like, he made me laugh actually. But then when it got, and even Selena Kyle, I liked her as sort of like I don't even know what you want to call it, like a bookend to the show. Like she's kind of there in the beginning, kind of there in the end. And I didn't mind her. But when it got to Ivy, it's like, "I'm Ivy." It's like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah. And then it was like all of a sudden she starts like she has a spray bottle and she's by a bunch of plants.
Yeah, it's like really
okay.
Honestly, here's the scene I want in like the second or third episode where it'll be like Bullock and Gordon are investigating some case and like just passing by right in the foreground in front of them, you have this little kid and his mom, and the mom is like, "What do you want to do today, Harvey? Go to the movies or go to the playground?" And he'll be like, "Mom, I want to do both." And she'll be like, "Harvey Dent, you always have two minds on everything."
Yeah.
And then they just walk off, and it's just this beat where it has absolutely nothing to do with the case that Gordon and Bullock are working on. They don't even acknowledge that. They just go right back to whatever it was that they were doing.
Or the actors playing it in the show actually go, just like have this meta moment for a moment. But I didn't even mind. I really don't. Like, I truly understand how it works. You do have to hold hands in a pilot. That said, like, it makes me wonder. I mean, okay, so you've teased all these future villains for Batman, but are these the people, the characters, the whatever that Gordon is going to encounter?
Yeah.
Like, is this just fan service in the pilot to make everyone kind of, oh, look, I know that guy, I know that guy, I know that guy. Like, what is this show going to be about?
Right.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can't make a 5-season series about a Wayne conspiracy.
Right.
And yeah. I'm not asking, like, who do they think they are? I'm just curious. Like, I don't know how you do that.
I feel like there's not enough thread to play this out over multiple seasons.
Yeah.
The entire concept of the show. And the other thing I was thinking about is this show basically exists on the back of the version of Gordon that Gary Oldman played.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, before Gary Oldman, it was Pat Hingle in those old movies, and that British guy in the 60s Batman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the version of Gordon that we think of as like heroic and Batman's friend is Gary Oldman.
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah, or I think of Frank Miller's Batman Year One.
Yeah, but I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? Like the mainstream audience doesn't think of that, you know, or didn't, you know?
Yeah. Well, what you're saying, came influence from that.
Yeah, and
So,
and that's kind of you know what bugged me is like you made the allusion to Blade Runner and kind of the sort of heightened reality. I didn't like the heightened reality.
Well, I don't want to call. I wasn't speaking necessarily to heightened reality. It was sort of like the colors, and like the neon sort of look to it, and the I don't know. No. I mean, I just mean like the set design. It's funny because there's a trick. I think a lot of people maybe notice whether or not they realize it. Whenever you watch a movie and it's always nighttime on the streets, you'll notice the streets are always wet, even if it's sunny Southern California, because it just looks better on film. And I laughed when it was at the interior of the police station because even the police station floor looked like it was wet.
Right.
Everything in there looked like it was wet, and that looks awesome on film. So I think they did push it pretty hard.
Right.
Look,
yeah.
Trying to establish like a really badass look. I think only a couple times it distracted me, but I gotta say I was pretty impressed for a television show how it looked.
I think for me, my preference would have been for more for it to look almost like a Law and Order approach, where it looks very grounded.
Okay.
As opposed to this very obvious CG matte painting that you then, transition into like a soundstage with. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's just purely stylistic preference. That doesn't have anything to do with this particular content of the show.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I got to be honest. There's some really quality comic book based content on TV right now. Again, I'm a huge fan of Arrow.
Yeah, I hear that from you and from other people.
I mean, and to me, it's like Arrow's doing it right. And Arrow was solid right from the pilot. This Gotham, it's at the end of the episode, I was like, I don't know if I'll watch the next one.
I feel like I will give it probably 2 more.
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I could see it even being like each one is watchable, but do I care?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm looking for there. Oh, I kind of laughed too when Jim Gordon's wife, apparently former lesbian lover, comes to visit.
Dude, that was like really on the nose.
Yeah. That was. By the way, that was toned down from the script.
Is that right?
Yeah. They actually kiss in the script.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, I don't know. Like, I get it's TV. You gotta plot things for the long haul, and so you create these little riffs and these problems that come up. But it's like, can't Jim Gordon just have like a? Well, I was gonna say, can't he just have an honest wife? And I guess apparently in this version on television, he kind of does. In the script, I didn't feel that way. But
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, TV.
Yeah, it's funny because
beats. You got to hit the beats.
Well, it's just funny because the character, like I said, I was watching it with my wife, and so I was kind of explaining as we went some of the characters. I was like, oh, that character, she's actually like a lesbian in the comics and blah blah. And and then as that scene played out, it's like I didn't even need to say that because the subtext is just text,
Right.
But so Gotham is kind of one of these things. I think for our next episode we'll have to sort of like reconvene on the subject of Gotham.
Yeah, we should because I want it to be good, but I don't know that I don't know. Again, my brother and I, we were talking about it. Like, what is it with the first show I can really remember rivaling movies for me was 24.
Okay, sure.
And I was like, this thing is just out of control. Like, I cannot wait for the next episode, and I don't feel like I'm watching television.
Right.
And then it was like Lost. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't even have like the action of 24 to fall back on. It was just about characters, but something about it. I mean, if it was between the writing, between the actors, between the directing, something about that show transcended television.
Right.
And then, Breaking Bad. Now we're surrounded by shows like that, Mad Men, whatnot, Game of Thrones. And something about Gotham felt like it was just pushing up against that. And it was so close, but like it still felt hindered by its TV-ness.
Right.
And I can't quantify it yet, but I did feel it while I was watching it.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the thing. Can the show transcend not only its like comic book roots, but its budgetary constraints and become something truly exceptional? I mean, that's going to be the question.
And like you said, can it become something can't miss, a story that I really, really am invested in and characters I'm invested in when, like you say, this is normally the flashback.
Yeah, that you skip over. The montage that you skip over.
Yeah.
Well, the question of Gotham, again, Gotham is kind of one of these, we'll have to put a pin in it and come back to it, I think.
Yeah.
And the timing for that pinning couldn't be better because we are just about out of time for this episode.
Cool.
And just want to point out, 9 minutes ago, I turned 35 years old.
Hey, happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
I didn't even realize it was that late yet.
I'm now in my mid-30s.
Wow.
Weird, right?
Wow. Well, congrats, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. I feel very sad right now. But you can make me feel better by writing us a review about the show.
You're the master of transitions, dude.
Write us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Leave us a star rating. Let us know what you think. You can, of course, send us an email at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. And, of course, our Facebook page is facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. Brian, where can people find you online?
Well, sir, they can find me at everythingbrian.blogspot.com, Brian with an I. And I have a Twitter account that I every now and then will look at when people call me out, which is really cool, and I will always respond, but I don't use it very often, at everythingbrian.
Well, Brian has tweeted once since the last time we spoke. So
which would make that a total of two?
3 tweets.
3 tweets.
3 tweets, so we're very excited about that.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to get one more in before Barack Obama leaves office. That's that's the current goal right now. And, of course, you can find me at zakiscorner.com, that's ZAKIS Corner, and also at the Huffington Post, where my movie reviews appear regularly, as does the Movie Film Podcast. As always, it's a pleasure to know that you all are out there listening. And I've gotten 1 or 2 emails asking about when we're going to have a new theme song. And,
really?
Yeah, and we should probably get on that. So I'll throw this out there to the audience. If you would like to compose a new theme song for us, we're certainly welcome. We'll also we'll welcome all takers and we'll
put it in the running. Sure.
Yeah, So that's good to know.
We're calling you out, Elton John.
That's right. We know you're listening, Rocket Man. On behalf of Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This is the Movie Film Podcast. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Welcome, friends. It's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zach and Sean and Brian are talking about